Hi guys, how are you getting on with your clothing making? So today's going to be a very quick episode, about 10 minutes or so, and we're going to just take you through some of the finer points of UV mapping on your Horizons clothing. Now, some of you may have noticed that recently the actual maps that have been provided with the meshes that you've been downloading from the desktop editor haven't quite matched up, which has made painting some of those new onesies quite a painful experience. Well, good news, I'm going to take you through a really good example of how to sort of correct that. So stand by, we'll start in just a moment. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. You hear enough surface level talk about the metaverse from complete outsiders. I'm here to show you what really goes on from the perspective of someone who actually lives it, runs clubs, and arranges social events across multiple platforms. I explore worlds, meet new and interesting people everywhere I go, and I bring you exclusive sneak peeks of what's happening inside. I also live stream regularly, so you can experience it with me in real time, and I make tutorials to help you build your own VR clubs, hangouts, and art spaces. If you're ready to see the metaverse from the inside, hit that like button, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok for even more content. Let's get started. Okay, so on the left here we have what the FBX export UV map looks like. So when you download your mesh, that's the sort of grid it's assigned to, and those are all the UV islands. And on the right, we have the one that the creator the creator website expects. So if you upload one to the other, it's going to look all over the place. Now, this is a subsequent course, like a part 2 to my previous clothing tutorial. So if you haven't seen that, please do go and watch that. I won't be stopping you to explain too many of those concepts. But what we'll be doing is, first of all, showing you. Well, we'll dive into it now. So first up, we're going to show you what happens. This is a downloaded SBX mesh that we've acquired through the desktop tools. And you can see here is the UV map. And what we're going to do is we're going to very simply sort of rattle through the process that we detailed before. So we're going to paint an example sort of texture onto this, just so you can see, I know, a continuous pattern going up one leg and down the other and across the arms, which we'll get on in just a sec. So here we go. We're in the texture paint section. We've got to remember to create a new UV output texture that we paint onto. So we're going to use this UV map to do that, okay? So we'll leave this as just a standard. And you can see there's our black background now. We've also got to set that in the material so that it actually puts that texture onto the material as we paint it. Okay, so now if we select, I think, an appropriate colour here, just from the top, let's lay out that window a little differently. So I'm working with a small monitor, so it translates well to desktop, to the video, sorry. So there we go. If we select a nice blue colour, I guess, so we've got to make sure we're in texture paint, of course. If we're in UV edit, make sure you switch it across. So yeah, we're selecting the appropriate radius as well, and you can see we're just going to doodle that line up and down, okay? Just so we can see a continuous line from one foot up at the front and then down the bottom. We'll do the same thing with the arm with a different colour, just for comparison's sake. And you can see that's updating on the actual texture on the left. So we'll do the same on the back now. To do a nice red sort of stroke across from arm to arm, and then we'll sort of cut that across to a yellow sort of line across the back. This just helps us sort of visualize what's happening. So once we've done that, we're going to save this image then off to just a simple sort of PNG file, and then we're going to upload that into the Creator Tools website on the correct item of clothing. So this is a one piece, and this is the furry onesie that you see just over there, bottom left. And once we go, oh sorry, not bottom left, it's at the top. And then when we actually go to upload this, you can see, look at that. It's gone all over the place. That doesn't match the UV that was on the mesh that we downloaded at all. So that's the purpose of this video, is how can we now correct that? There's lots of very smart creators who've come up with some very versatile approaches to this, but I do prefer to go to the nuts and bolts, because showing you how to sort of arrange UVs actually is a really good opportunity to learn what is quite a complex subject. So stick with me, guys. We will go through it in slow motion. So the first thing we need to do is download the UV guide. So you see that download design files. We just simply download that. And then once that's downloaded, we're going to bring that into Blender. So we jump back to the sort of the UV editing tab there. And then we're just simply going to pull that in. Now you'll notice that a lot of things could happen here, but you'll notice when we pull in this UV guide texture, that look at that, the actual UV texture is all very black in the background. It's quite hard to see. So you can see our actual active UV map then is quite light on top. If we go down into this section here and we just invert the background image, that's just turned those black lines on that image that we've just brought in into white lines, which makes it a lot easier to see. Now the next bit, this is probably the hardest bit, okay? We have to basically identify these islands, as they call them. They're these groupings of sort of surfaces that are independent from each other, but they're all sort of linked in some way. So once we've done that, we can actually start make sure you've got all UVs on display from the mesh you're editing. And then we got to identify these islands or groupings of them, if you like. And we can use a variety of tricks here. So we can sort of click individual vertices, or we can drag a selection box, but we're going to use this sort of select linked. So if you select a single vertex, a single point on one of these islands, you can then hit Control L, or you can go up to the select menu and say select linked. And for every vertex you select, it's basically going to select everything that's linked. And then after that, we're just simply going to use a combination of scale, that's hotkey S, and we can say hotkey S and X to scale only horizontally, so on the X axis, or Y, as we'll do later. And also the G, which allows us to grab. So if we press G, it follows the mouse pointer until we sort of click. Now the idea is we've got to line these sort of UV islands up with the underlying UV guide that we've downloaded. And this is tough stuff. I would say this is pretty intermediate technique. But if you can nail this, this is going to lead you to some incredible sort of places, especially when you go to sort of build levels as well. This is really going to give you a great handle on UV mapping. Many people I know who start doing UV mapping, they'll do an automatic unwrap and leave it at that and then panic if it goes wrong. But being able to actually edit UVs on the fly is a skill. It's a skill that needs developing, and that's what we're doing. We're basically identifying shapes, and then we're using scaling with existing UV maps to basically bring them in. So you'll notice that the top left ones were sort of like stretched on the x-axis, and obviously repositioned. But as we go down, you'll notice the ones lower down actually just need a bit of stretching on the y-axis, but we'll come to that. But it's quite fiddly. One thing I will say at this point though is that once you've been through all this hard work for a given model, you can actually then save this model, so you never have to do this again for this given model. Very, very useful. It means that you can sort of, every time you want to create a new onesie design, you just load up this same model and you can use the existing UV maps on it. So you don't have to do this every single time you want to do a given design for the same sort of mesh. So, but yeah, you can see I'm basically adjusting it very precariously. I'm trying to get the dots to line up, trying to get the islands to match. It's very, very important, because whatever image we push out of this at the end is what we upload into the website, and if that doesn't match, it's gonna look a little bit weird. So do take a minute care and time on it. You know, you can see I'm whisking through this in 5 minutes. I think once you start playing with this, you're gonna get faster and faster. You'll be able to do this in 5 minutes, and you can use that as a basis for a workflow for creating lots of different onesie designs and just painting them. So you can see I'm using the sort of the scale on the y-axis to do this. You're getting used to the way as you go through this that this works. I think you'll definitely see which shades fit over which. At first it can feel like a bit of a guessing game, but because I've done it a few times now, I'm getting quite good at spotting those shapes and getting them in the right place. But yeah, it's good luck, and if they battle that frustration initially, it is worth it. So yeah, you can obviously zoom in just to make sure it's sort of all lined up. And if something is slightly skew, then you can go ahead and sort of, you know, line that up. It doesn't need to be pixel perfect, but, you know, as near as you can get it rationally. Okay, I think that's great. That seems to be all lined up now, so that didn't take too long. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a brand new image, and we're going to up that texture. We'll give it a meaningful name like, you know, UV corrected output, just so we know that's the one, that's the money. This is the one that we're now going to paint. So we've just given it that new image. We've set our sort of 204 is the resolutions we did on the last video. And we jump over from UV editing now into texture painting, and we have to make sure we're looking at the right image in there as well. It's a different screen, so we do have to load that on left and also against the material just here. That's very, very important, otherwise we'll be painting onto the wrong thing. Yeah, so here we go, and now we're going to do a similar sort of pattern here. So we're just going to do some sort of very descriptive sort of wiggles to mark the leg going up to the neck, and then across the arms on the front, and then we're going to flip the model and just do different colours on the back, and this just helps us gain that confidence that what we've done has worked. And do a nice pink across the arms, I think. Yeah, there we go. So I think what we'll do as well, we'll take this opportunity to we're going to sort of doodle across the fairy bits in this fairy onesie. It's not going to be very exact, okay, but it's just a general guide so you can see that where we're painting onto does actually match up with when we actually upload it. You'll see that it does actually sort of carry through something a little bit more perhaps meaningful than just doodling the the stripes up and down the legs and the arms. So just get a bit of practice as well for when you do actually come to do a proper onesie, and you can actually put quite intense or sort of textures and colours onto things. Okay, so now we are going to import this texture, and you can see, look at that, clear as day, it's actually done the job. Hey, that's it, that's all there is to it, and like I said, if that took me 10 minutes to go through it, it's not a big deal. So there are multiple ways of doing this sort of thing, and do look out for other great creators from Horizons that are teaching people tricks. There are many of us that are trying to help you guys out. But yeah, until next time, I'm going to end the video there, but thank you very much. Remember, like and subscribe if that was useful, and also throw in some comments. I'm always interested in sharing what people want me to make how-to guides for. So yeah, okay, thank you, goodbye.